Hi guys, I'm Elias. We're back in a new video where we'll be having a great time. Remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, and I love you all very much. The anime starts with a girl telling a boy that he tries really hard, and when he starts something, he finishes it without resting. And the boy gets a little intimidated, but she tells him that his compliment and offers him some magic power, and he says, yes, he wants it. Then we see the boy waking up in a seemingly rich restaurant and looks in the mirror and is surprised while he screams and says he is a boy, and we see a man who tells him to calm down and calls him Liam. The fifth son of the Hamilton, and a servant who is there tells him that Count Hamilton had his first daughter after having so many children, and to enjoy his sister's party. And the next day he tries to reason everything that is happening to him, although he has no idea how he got there. And they introduce the Hamilton children. We see Bruno, who talks about the future of his sister and the Hamilton dynasty, and explains the situation in which the family is, since the older brother, that they have Albrevet must have some achievement, since the third generations of the dynasties to maintain their status must do that, or else they will become commoners. And then we see how a man arrives with a book and tells him that they are going to study magic. And Liam, he is surprised and very excited because they are going to study magic. And Bruno tells him not to get excited since 1 in 100 humans have a connection with magic. And he goes to the library with the maid and begins to observe the books that are in the library and begins to read a book to do a fire spell, and he succeeds. Then he goes to his father's office, asks for permission to take some books out of the library, and he authorizes it. Then he spends day and night reading books and practicing spells, and his brother arrives to see him. And he also wants to do the spells that he does, but he can't do it. And his brother says that for people to be able to use magic, they need at least 1 year of practice. And our protagonist says in the body he is in, he is one of those humans that can use magic. And his brother tells him that as a magic user, he can advance a lot in his life. And his brother also asks him if he is striving to be his father's successor. And Liam says no. But his brother tells him that if it is really his goal that he is his older brother, do not consider him a rival. And in which the day progresses, his father calls him and tells him to show him his magic. And he does both ice magic in a very basic way, but all the basic fire spells he masters without using the book. And his father gets very excited for him and tells him to ask for all the books he wants. And suddenly a butler comes in and tells him that there is someone in his territory, and Mr. Hamilton gets angry and tells him to get ready. Then we see the day very happy, saying that he should get all the books he wants, and suddenly we see a man who tells him to capture him, but Liam doesn't understand what's happening, and the man sees that he is studying magic and tells him to practice a lot, and that he will also give him an even more effective method than the one he has. And he shows him his hand, and we see how he uses 5 types of magic at the same time. And Liam is surprised and asks him to teach him. And the man says that he likes him very much to make a noble, and asks him to make a square with his left and a circle with his right on the ground with a stone, and tells him that with magic it is more or less the same, just has to concentrate. And we see how our protagonist concentrates and launches an attack that reaches the clouds. This technique is called mysticism, and only 1 in 1 million use it, and we see it as practice, but that he needs more magic, and also praises him, since casting 3 spells at the same time is impressive, and teaches him that learning the techniques is like prime numbers. Most get stuck on 4 and 6, but if he manages to pass 4, 6 will have no problem. But that he will get stuck on technique number 9 until he perfects his magical knowledge. And then we see how he used a spell to summon different elements and says that is his limit, and we see that there are 13 elements. And Liam is surprised because it is impressive, and the man gives him a ring so that he continues learning magic that is called Magicopedia. And it is like a huge grimoire, and he puts it on, and we see how his mind fills with some 300 spells, and he decides to use a wind attack that is very powerful. And when they do, we see how the man who was there leaves and suddenly arrives. The maid tells him that he shouldn't be here, since there is a strange man hanging around here, and gives him another book for basic magic spells. And when he leaves, the man appears and tells him that he made himself invisible using a spell from the ring that he has. but that it is difficult to do. And then he asks him to do a spell from the book that he has along with the ring. And we see how the ring absorbs the spells that the book has. Then the man leaves and tells him to keep practicing, and we see how Liam practices and using magic takes charge, and Bruno arrives to tell him that it is incredible what he does, and tells his brother that he is going to marry a noblewoman who is poorer than the Hamiltons, but that he will have more freedom, and tells him a plan that his father had, and it was to have a daughter, marry her into a royal family to maintain his position of nobleman. And desperate to have an achievement, he sent 1,000 soldiers to defeat a monster sealed in the territory. Although they defeated the monster, they lost 90% of their soldiers, and that is why his father and his older brother are looking for achievements. And he recommends to his brother that he seek his own independence, and thanks him for the counsel, and sells the coal that he made with magic to seek his independence, and goes to eat ramen. And from there, he has an idea to make ramen using his magic. And when he goes to market the noodles, he cannot do it because he is a younger son of Hamilton and about the oldest. He can do business. And when he leaves, we see his older brother preventing him from trading, since he planned that nothing will come to him. He is envious of him for using magic, and decides to go a little far from the Hamilton. And we see how he packs his things using a magic box. And we see how he does a high-ranking spell, making his own illusion, so that he could sell the things outside his family's land. And with the magic box, it can also be used to teleport things. This anime is incredible, and Liam gets excited and says that he will be independent in no time. Then we see our boy training with his illusion using an attack, and suddenly he comes to his brother to talk about what he's doing with magic, and tells him what he wants to be in the future, and tells him that he wants to be independent, and tells Albrevet that he will introduce him to a hunter's guild. And we see how Liam enters the guild, while the hunters make fun of him, and goes to a man, and recognizes him as a Hamilton, and tests him to see how strong he is. And since Liam is using his double, he doesn't have all the magic available. But he still used an attack that surprises everyone, and the man will put him as a Class B. And at the exit, we see how a girl introduces herself to him as Asuna Aquaj, and proposes to join his teams. And Liam likes her way of doing things and accepts, and the boys walking through the forest find a pack of wolves, and Liam makes an invocation so that all the wolves have rubber in their mouths, and they get bigger, and he leaves the rest to Asuna. After they are in the town, they tell the man that they hunted 42 wolves, and they propose another mission. And we see the boys walking, talking about having to hunt a high-level magic monster that has a stone inside of it, and we see that it is a very resistant carnivorous caterpillar that no spell of Liam can harm it. But the boys have a strategy, and we see how Asuna uses it as bait, and Liam with the box summons a stone that falls on top. Then they go to where the gentleman is, and we realize that they killed 2 caterpillars, and the gentleman, very happy with the boys, proposes to increase the reward, and several days later, Albrevet appears to congratulate him for his great work, and Asuna does not like Liam's older brother, and we see the person they were waiting for, and suddenly, she looks at the boys, but especially at Liam. And then we see how the gentleman talks to him and asks him where he got that ring, which is Raymond's ring, is the magician who taught Liam to use the elements, and tells him that he is his teacher. But we see how the Lord takes it in good humor and tells him to use his strongest spell with his butler, and use an attack that multiplies the strength of his powers. And the man is surprised by the boy's strength and names him a knight, since he realizes that he wants to be independent, and that title will give him more freedom. We see how he names him a knight, and says that he will avoid the annoyance of his brother, and his father will have mixed feelings, but that he should be calm, that his achievements are the achievements of Hamilton, his family. And they talk about Raymond, and Liam says that using the box, he found a letter from him. And it turns out that Liam absorbed the water of a river, and inside that river, there were 100 kilos of gold, that he looked at it as a gift from him. And the letter said that he was happy with him, because by absorbing the water, he had already mastered the box, and that his final exam is related to that gold. And the Lord tells him that that gold does not really exist, that his gift is hidden, and Liam absorbs another river again to think where the gold is, and tells the box to expel the gold that is made into dust, since that is how Raymond put it in the river, so that the magic box would absorb it. And we see how Liam put the gold dust in the dry river, and it opens like a secret door going down, and we see how there is a magic book waiting for him, and next to it a letter that says that it is his gift, that it is a top-level book. And we see how he uses the book, but it is difficult for him since it is a very advanced book, and he manages to do a spell. But we see that it is a door. Keep in mind that the book is called Another World, and it consists in which a door will open the size of the power of the magician who summoned it, and that no one can enter without the owner's permission. Then Liam and Asuna fight against a toad, and he uses an invocation to finish it. And we see how the toad explodes but goes inside another world, which is the room that he summons, because with the Lord they give him the stone. And he is surprised since the boys did an A-class mission, and the Lord suggests that they become a family, so that Asuna's skills improve, since the pact makes their skills improve. But in exchange, Asuna cannot deny Liam anything, since he is the strongest user among them. And we see how they make the pact, and we see how one increased a lot of power and has a special ability that has to do with speed moves very fast. And they go to the house of a veteran hunter named Jody, so that she gives her information about attacks and spells. And we see a unique ability that she already has and is to become younger. Then we see how she comes with some sandwiches and gives one to one wounded man, and they instantly take out another unique ability of Jody. Then we see James Stanley telling him that it is an achievement that he is doing Class A errands at 12 years old, and that the Princess of the Scarlet Kingdom wants to meet him because he sparked her interest, and that when he sees her, he should do a demonstration with his powers. But he wants to refuse and asks her to leave. Then we see Stanley apologizing to the maid, and we realize that it is the princess who disguised herself as a maid, and that she is even more interested in knowing about Liam. You know, guys, subscribe, give it a like, and remember, I love you.